I'm Ben.
And I'm Jess.
We both stream. I'm under PS underscore Garrick, Garak. And Jess, what do you stream under?
I'm Decaf Jedi.
Great. All right. Well,
Old
that's
Decaf Jedi.
yeah, old D Caffey. How you doing today, Jess? We didn't talk a lot before. Usually, you and I will have like a half hour conversation before.
Yeah, like conversation slash therapy session with one another
Oh yeah,
where we just get things off our chest so we can
right.
be all engaging and friendly and fun here on the pod.
And that's it's kind of like a warm up, but you know what? That's fine. We'll go in we'll go in cold.
We'll do
So
it live.
how was your day today, Jess?
Well, Ben, there's nothing more fun than a day spent in airports and on airplanes, just
Ooh.
folded into a tiny seat, and
Oh.
just enjoying flying the friendly skies.
Now, okay, did you fly Delta? They're the friendly skies, right?
No, I mean they are the company that has the friendly skies slogan,
Yeah.
but I mean the skies themselves are pretty friendly.
Now, did you eat at the airport and did you have anything fun at the airport?
Yes, yes, yes. I want to give a shout out to Zaza's Cuban Eatery in the Orlando International Airport. Big shout out to Zaza's.
All right, well,
Where
we're
I
gonna have to hear exactly what's on this Cuban so we can discuss this when we have our sandwich segment with
Okay, it was
Francisco
the
later.
wrong time of day for a Cuban. I love their Cuban. I've had it
Okay,
before.
okay.
It is delicious, but it is this is like an actual like family owned Cuban restaurant somehow in an airport. It doesn't make any sense.
I love inexplicable. Now,
Yes,
is this their only location,
that's a
or
great question. This I do not know.
this can't be the only location,
It
right?
would be weird if you're just like,
It
my
would.
dream is to someday have a restaurant in an airport, and we finally, after generations, we finally made it happen. No, it doesn't. Surely not. I mean, it feels pretty slick if this is just like a pop up sort of thing. But I didn't have the Cubano. I have had it before, and it's delicious. It's a classic
Uh-huh.
Cubano, not a Subway Cubano, not a Puerto
Okay.
Rican style
All right.
Cubano. But what I had today was
Uh-huh.
just a lovely beef empanada and a guava pastry
Oh.
because it was early and I just needed a little
Oh.
breakfast snack.
Oh man, a
Oh
beef
man,
empanada.
it
I
was
you
a
know,
little spicy, not
yeah.
much, just that like little bit of Cuban style. Oh, it was good.
I myself, I'm feeling a little tired right now, Jess, and I'll tell you why. It's because I had a very large sandwich. Uh,
What'd you have,
I
Ben?
I had a birria torta, and it was
Oh
spectacular.
man.
But it is like I feel like I'm like in an RPG, and I'm taking like turn like damage each turn by how sleepy this sandwich has made
Okay.
me.
Are you also over encumbered?
I'm over encumbered. I'm taking poison damage.
Move in
Uh,
half speed.
yeah, I'm moving in half speed.
Can't flee enemies.
Yeah, I have to gather my party. Like
Taking disadvantage on all attack rolls.
yeah, like
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is there?
it was a great sandwich.
I wanted to
Let
say,
me be clear.
is there a better food on Earth than a burrito torta?
The worst thing about this was I was listening this place that I went, which I've talked about before on this podcast. This place down the street that has very good tortas, and they have a massive menu of tortas, and easily a couple dozen tortas. And I look at all of like this huge list of them. They all seem very interesting. And then I order the burrito torta. Listen,
It's always right.
I'm pulled in. I'm pulled in by the promise. And you want to know what? It's great every time. It's just that there's another like 3 dozen sandwiches.
Yeah.
And the bread there is very good.
How comically oversized is the bread this is served on? Like, I usually feel like when I get a torta, it's like twice the amount of bread I need, and
It
I'm
felt like
grateful for it.
an appropriate amount of bread.
Okay,
Let
okay.
me hold on. I took a photo of this sandwich,
Oh, great.
and I will share. Well, you know what? Looking at this, that is a lot of bread. You know what? I withdraw. Just looking at this photo, I'm like, that's a fair amount of bread. But you know what? I loved every bite. I'm gonna share this with you, Jess. You tell me. Uh, Definitely
Okay.
a lot of bread.
Let me see
Um,
here. I'm
I,
going
I'm
to.
I, I'm saving it right now onto my desktop,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay. I can't
then
wait. I
I
can't wait.
am
Can't wait.
uploading it to the moderators only of our Discord, which I will start to remember to put the link to it because I've seen people ask, where how do I get into the Discord?
And we want you to come join the Discord. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, yeah,
And just check out the episode description for a link to that Discord.
yeah. If I remember.
If Ben remembers. That looks amazing, Ben.
It's a really good sandwich.
Yeah, no, that looks really
And
good. I wish I could describe this sandwich to you folks, but I
well,
mean,
Tuesday morning when this comes out, be sure to ask on our Discord link probably in the description.
or not.
Yeah, we'll see, you know. But anyway, and I had this sandwich at I would say about 3:30. Like I slept in yesterday was the Pride Parade here in Chicago, so I slept in a little bit, and then I always take the day off after the Pride Parade, but it's not that I'm not really that like I wasn't really that hungover, not really doing that much of that anymore. But I still like having the day off, and I spent my post Pride parade day doing the gayest thing I possibly could think of, which was assembling furniture that arrived in the mail. So I put together a bookcase and a small patio set of like a small patio table and two chairs, and I also assembled a lamp. And
Wow.
I gotta tell you, like I look at all of those things, and I'm like, wow, this is incredible.
You
Thank
should be
you.
proud.
I have pride, and but the thing is that I assembled this little patio table and two chairs, and then I was like, am I gonna like take my Steam Deck outside and sit on my little condo deck with my Steam Deck stack and play some video games outside? And then I thought, it's way too fucking hot for that. I'm gonna play video games in my house where they belong.
I mean, yeah, Ben, I have been in Florida for the past 5 or 6 days. And apparently it was hotter here in West Virginia than it was in Florida. That makes no sense. What's going on? Why is everything topsy turvy?
Well, I
There's
don't.
no explanation for it.
There's no exclamation for
There's
it.
no exclamation except wow, that's hot.
Yikes!
Woo, that's hot.
Spicy.
That's spicy weather.
Yeah, I don't know. It just started happening gradually over the last couple decades.
Hmm. I imagine it has something to do with like low church attendance. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my guess, and that's why after this well, first off, I'm recording this inside of my church, and then afterwards, I'm gonna go into the confessional, then just recap everything I discussed in the podcast in the confessional, and then it's gonna be a night mass. We're
Yeah.
recording this on a Monday, but I'm going to a Monday night mass
Yeah, you
at
see,
the
a
old
lot of
Catholic church.
podcasts, like you take something like a Critical Role, like they will do like an after show where they broadcast that to patrons. It's like this exclusive feature where they break down what happened on the episode. Ben just does a personal one of those directly with his priest, where he goes into the confessional booth and just recaps everything he talked about on the podcast, and then
Yeah,
the priest absolves him, and then we get ready to record next week's.
yeah, that's exactly how it is. He tells me I got to do 5 Hail Marys, give a little money to like a charity, like like a food pantry or something, and
Mhm.
then yeah, we're good to go. And you
Yeah.
know what I'm really good to go for?
A birria torta.
No, emails.
Wow,
That
emails.
was
I
a
love
warm up
emails.
for games. What have you been playing? And then I was like, oh, but so we have a bunch of emails of people answering our question of foreign adventure games and message received. We've received those. You have more? questpodcast@gmail.com. We're going to do that one. But unfortunately, that podcast, even though you're emailing us, that requires Jess and I to do research, which, so that's slowing us all down. I don't put a lot of thought into this.
The message received.
But anyway, I wanted to call out. Speaking of message received, the message was received, I believe, on the Loom podcast. I said, please comment on our Spotify, because that's a feature that is sometimes used. But I like, Jess, do you use Spotify? I don't really use Spotify.
I do use Spotify, but I don't use it for podcasts.
Yeah.
I just use it to listen to all of my hip music.
What have you been listening to lately?
Abe Partridge. He is kind of like an alt folk guy from Alabama.
That sounds kind of cool.
Look him up. Abe Partridge.
Anyway, all right. So I said, please, we have to have more comments than my friend Yum Yum Podcast in the comments. And there have been. There have been more comments. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Yum Yum Podcast, as well.
Message received.
Message received. Promises kept. So, let me open up Spotify for Creators. As I'm a creator. So I'm just gonna read a couple of these. This one's from Sebastian. For what it's worth, I think Oreos taste kind of bland, but maybe the ingredients are different here in Germany. Also, we have, all caps, prison roll. I should have. We try to look up stuff when we get prison roll.
Prison roll.
Prison roll. It can't be prison roll.
Prison criminals. Okay, I love this packaging, and I have eaten these. I'm looking at them now, and yes, I have had prison rolls, and they're quite delightful. But I will say, while
they're in kind of a I am absolutely unfamiliar with this. This looks like kind of a Pringles type cylindrical package.
But it's more of a soft wrapper than like a hard container, I believe.
Yeah.
Like it's like sleeve, basically.
Oh, it's Prince, because there's a Prince, and he has.
Yeah.
I'm going to note here, I'm looking at an image here of one of the Prinzen rolls packages, and I want to say the Prince, the Prinzen, the Prinz.
Freddie
has
Prinzen.
extremely shapely thigh muscles.
Oh man, he does. Those are defined.
Look at that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Check out.
This guy didn't skip leg day.
Yeah, like I won't kick him out of bed for eating Prinzen roll.
Is he throwing the cookie at us?
Yeah, well, directly. Yeah, we're probably looking at the same one, which is the first one that shows up Google image search.
That's our level of research.
Yeah, and that's the level of research that you'll expect when we get to the forum.
I just asked ChatGPT what's a prison roll. It said shapely thighs was the result. Yeah.
But yeah, he's throwing them directly into our mouth.
Well, there you go.
We've got one from Josh. I came here because I was dared by the creators to leave a comment. Thank you, Josh. I'm over on Apple Podcasts, but this series has been a great blast through the past. I used to skip the first 15 minutes of banter, but it's grown on me. That's right. They're like
you listen
cancer.
long enough and we'll win you over.
Love the content and segments. Keep it up. RVD Loon.
RVD. RVD.
LEUN. Given
It's a
how short it is,
wrestling
I'm now up for trying out Loom and then getting frustrated when I get stuck 15 minutes into it. Very possible.
The good news is if you get stuck 15 minutes in, you're a quarter of the way through. Just keep playing.
Andrew says, I like the side quest segments of the podcast, the banter between Ben and Jess. Always good, so I don't mind hearing them talking about the various new flavors of Oreos. In fact, they should probably do a ranking at some point. Message received.
Message received.
Jess has been trying to get me. Did we talk about this last week? You've been trying to get me to have these. What celebrity Oreo?
Well, the Wizards of Waverly Place are at it again, and now they've cast a spell on me with the Selena Gomez Oreos.
The Selena Gomez.
Yeah, Selena Gomez. They are a chocolatey cookie with a cinnamon creme.
That sounds good. I'm gonna have to. I don't live near a huge grocery store. I have like a nice little corner grocer, which has everything I need, but it doesn't have everything I need.
Yeah, I mean these have like big Target end cap energy, if you know what I mean. Like
I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down at the end of the aisle.
So you're to say message received?
You know what? Message received. I'll read this last one and then we're done. I'm here for all the grab ass, please and thank you. Well, I'm not.
I thought you were pro grab ass and I'm anti grab ass.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm the good cop. Jess is the bad cop. Jess, what have you been playing?
Wow, Ben. You know, I've been out of town for the past week, visiting Disney World, Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida.
Which resort did you stay at? Because there's a couple different ones.
There's several. I stayed at All Star Music, a tribute to a boomer's idea of what popular music might be. I stayed in a hotel room with a giant 5-story maraca on the outside of it. So it was
I've stayed at the
tasteful.
Yacht Club.
Oh, well, that's pretty fancy.
Would you believe it wasn't?
but while I was there,
it was a perfectly cromulent hotel, but it was just like, you know, there was just a guy that greeted you at the door that was in like, you know, like he had like a turtleneck on and like a navy blue blazer.
I'm a skipper.
Like, yeah, there was a real skipper.
Yeah,
anyway,
no, I mean, here is just like the faintest hint of rock and roll theming. But I spent 4 days tromping around the parks in 90-degree Florida weather. Walked about 35 miles in 4 days, just a normal amount of human walking.
Do you have a like a watch or like a Fitbit or something? What do you have?
Yes.
Which one do you have?
Oh, I'm just actually using the Pixel's built-in
the
monitoring. Yeah. So it's probably not as accurate as a watch would be, but it's like 9 to 12 miles a day. It's not great. It's too much. It's too much walking. But while I was there, I did get to play 2 video game-esque experiences.
Well, hold on to one for the next one. No.
This is important to compare.
All right.
Because I played 2 shooting gallery games alike in dignity, but in many ways could not be further apart in quality. This is for all the Disney heads out there. In Magic Kingdom, Ben, there's a ride called Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin.
Okay.
Where you sit in a little car and you have a gun that shoots a infrared beam. And as you go through this ride, you spin around and you have to shoot little targets that are like painted glow scenes from Toy Story. And it's terrible. The gun, it's impossible to tell where you're shooting. It's impossible to aim it. There's no feedback really.
It tells you whether you're hitting anything. Light gun?
Yeah, it's like a light gun. It's like laser tag technology.
Okay.
And there's really nothing that's telling you like what's hitting and what's not. It's just a literal crapshoot.
So it wasn't hitting.
It was, yeah. Let's just say that infrared beam message not received. It was
Like
doing nothing.
My fucking television, Jesus,
man. But then you flip over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, and there they have a ride called Toy Story Mania. Now this is still Toy Story themed, but now it's Woody's World. And Woody is going to be your better character. Once you're in Woody's World, now you're in a little car going through a shooting gallery, but you have like a little pull string pop gun, and everything is done on actual like interactive screens, and you see a little ball fly out of your gun and hit targets, and you can aim things and adjust and predict and win. And I crushed everyone in my family at that game. I just want to say,
wow,
you guys suck, and I'm better at Toy Story Mania than all of those children and adults alike.
Wow. Well, Jess,
I'm now the main person in my entire family of 18 people that went to Disney with me.
That's true. You are in like you live in one of those large generational houses, right?
Yeah,
like your great grandparents live with you, and your great grandchildren live with you.
And all of our ancestors are buried in the basement.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. No, it was a giant family trip, and Ben, I'm filled with regrets. What have you been playing?
I have been playing, so it is, as of this recording, it is the Steam sale. So I re-upped on all sorts of strange games to make Jess feel slightly inadequate that, I've heard of these cool games. He's like...
That's what this segment's about.
He's like, it's the sixth week in a row where I've been playing Overwatch. But,
I'm actually downloading an update for Overwatch right now while you tell this story.
Oh, yeah?
Please continue.
So I've been, of the games that I've played a couple of games that I picked up. There's one that's been on my radar for a bit because the people that designed this made another game that I really enjoyed. So this will be a double recommendation. Take them both. This is a game that's currently in early access. Pretty soon, actually pretty short to, shortly after this podcast releases, I think it will be hitting 1.0. I think. I don't know. Hold on. What's the 1.0 release date? Anyway, it will, July 11th. Anyway, it is Maze Mice. Have you heard of this?
Mice?
Jess?
No.
Maze Mice is a game that is kind of made for me because it is a mashup of a couple different games that I like.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at this now. This is made for you.
It is it is based it is a pellet munching game, so a Pac-Man, but very specifically, it's a Pac-Man based off of the championship or tournament edition or whatever that one is called, that was out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. That one where the ghosts will be sleeping until you pass them, and so this takes that, and then the way that you hurt the cats that are chasing after you is that instead of eating a big power pellet, you are constantly firing off weapons in a Vampire Survivors-esque way.
Okay, like a bullet heaven kind of experience.
Like one of those, a survivors-like, as they are called now. It is so you're just automatically firing off as you move. And you also get special power-ups that kind of augment those weapons. You have a limit of, I think it's 4 or 5 weapons and 4 or 5 augments, and you can level all those up. And the final little twist on it is that the game is paused until you move. So it pauses when you're stopped and moves when you move. So that lets you just kind of like put it down and think like, oh, do I want to go this way or that way?
Mappy would never.
And it is just a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun playing this early access. It's super, like, it is right now on the Steam sale. It's $8, but like off sale, it's 10. So, you know, like it'll be fine. And then the other game that they made that I really liked, I got this game in one of those itch fundraiser things, was Luck Be a Landlord. Have you ever played Luck Be a Landlord?
No.
Luck Be a Landlord is a slot machine builder.
Oh.
Where, so it's that you have to pay your landlord at the end of every week. And the way that you make your money is you spin a slot machine. And after each spin, you have the option of adding something to the slot machine, you know, grid, or like the potential things that it will roll.
The loop pool.
And as you play, like there are, you know, super rare things, and also the amount that the landlord charges you goes up every week. So you like essentially build like a much more powerful like slot machine that has all sorts of like efficiencies based off of it's like, oh, I'm doing a fruit run, or I'm just getting fruit, stuff like that. It's a great game. Luck Be a Landlord, and that is $5 on sale. And again, a great value at 10 if it's not on sale. So get both of those games. They're both really fun. Luck Be a Landlord and Maze Mice. That's our whole podcast today. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to comment on Spotify or send us an email at questquestpodcast@gmail.com.
Wait, Ben, I've got an idea.
Oh. Yes?
What if we talked about today something that's been on my mind recently? Let me ask you a question first. Have you ever successfully turned someone on to the adventure game genre?
I don't know if I've turned someone on to the adventure game genre, but I've definitely gotten people to play adventure games who enjoy them, who other like people who would be like, nah, no, and then I would be like, how about you try this? And I have had some success with some games that I feel are a little more inviting to someone. Have you ever
Gotcha.
gotten, like, you know, recently, let's say,
I mean,
not
that's
like
the thing.
not
I was
your
gonna say is,
neighbor that
yeah, I
like
was gonna
when you
say
were
is
a
like
kid.
as a kid, you know, when you're the only kid in the neighborhood with a computer, you can just force kids to play anything you want to. It's like Sierra time, dummy, sit down. You know, I don't know that I've ever successfully like sold anyone on adventure games. You know, I think the wildest experience for me is when I teach my video game course at my university. Like on day one, I kind of do like a getting to know me bit where I just throw up some stuff about, you know, my experience as a gamer personally, and talk about growing up playing adventure games, and just like putting a game like King's Quest or Monkey Island up on a PowerPoint in front of students. It is clear, A, there's no recognition, and also just a sense of like, what is wrong with you, old man? I feel like this is a genre that everyone I've ever talked to about is already in on it, or has no interest in learning more, which is what makes it a great opportunity to podcast about. But I don't think necessarily that it is. It's an impenetrable genre, and kind of what I thought we could talk about today is the question: if you had to recommend to someone who's never played an adventure game before, their very first adventure game, what would you recommend to them? And that's our topic for today.
Yeah. And so we were thinking we would talk about like some stuff that might make a game a little more inviting in that sense. And also like I have a list of games that that I've had some of these I've had success with.
Interesting. Mine
Uh
are all in the theoretical
in the
realm.
theoretical realm. Looking here, I like some of these on my list. I'm like I think at least one of these, probably two of them, are ones where like I think that would be on anyone's
Hmm.
list for the genre. Uh, so
Quest
what
for
would you
Glory
like
3.
to? How would you like to start, Jess?
I mean, I guess for me, like when I was thinking about this topic, one of the first things that popped up for me is, if you're going to recommend an adventure game to someone who's never played it before, how important is the question of, do you recommend sort of a retro classic, or do you recommend something a little newer?
Newer, newer,
Newer.
newer,
You think
newer, newer, newer,
newer,
newer, newer,
newer, newer, newer, newer.
newer, 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 newer.
Nar.
Not well. Hold on. Now all the Australians are thinking we're saying no. Uh, but
But I feel like this is, I mean, it's probably not where all of my favorite adventure games lie. I'm a retro boy, but I do feel like maybe there's some advantages to recommending a newer game. I feel like, I mean, there's some timeless older games, but just some basic quality of life type stuff. I think with newer games might be a little more engaging.
I,
I have a few older ones on my list, but I do think that's important. And then the other question I think that goes with that
yeah,
is, how traditional should
that's a good question. I cover both bases with that.
good, because that's what I'm wondering. I think when I think traditional, I'm thinking probably third person perspective. You're
A
walking
King's Quest 'em up.
a King's Quest 'em up or a Monkey Island 'em up. You've got an inventory. You're walking around the world. You're solving puzzles, that sort of stuff. Versus something that really breaks way out of that mold in some way.
So the thing about newer versus older is that uh games are like they're everything is released within the context of like the time that it was made and the audience it's being sold to. And like I've seen some people get like kind of frustrated with like that, like a newer game or newer players or something like that might be a little against something like deaths,
Mm-hmm.
or well, I don't think anyone misses dead man walking situations. I mean,
No, I don't.
I like I've heard defenses in the case of deaths and very good ones. But I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say it's actually really good to have a design where if you didn't pick up this thing at the very start of the game, you're screwed. I don't think that. But the thing is that the context that a late 80s early 90s Sierra or LucasArts or whatever, any of those is put out, the context that's put out and the audience that's playing it is completely different and has different expectations than a audience, someone picking up a game now. And that isn't saying people are smarter then or people are dumber now. It's saying that in some part, if you're going to buy a game for $50 and $90, you're going to want to have a lengthy experience that like you kind of grind on. And
Yes.
you like and also you're getting manuals and you're getting feelies and you're getting like the stuff in the box which you're
If
not
I'm going to spend
generally getting.
$50, I want to manually grind on it.
Yeah, you have to manually grind it. Don't look at all the boxes on Jess's shelf. And and like so now a like adventure games released now are made not only for the like a more contemporary taste, but they're also made like they cost less. Not only do they cost less, but also the value of currency, like of the dollar that it is. Like it's so it like a 90s $50 is considerably more, and then like you factor in that how much does an adventure game like how much did like Old Skies cost at off sale Old Skies? So that's the newest Wadjet I game. That's $20.
Yeah. I feel like adventure games nowadays tend to cap off what around 24.99. Was it Return to Monkey Island 24.99? It was pretty
Yeah,
cheap.
I think 25 is a perfectly well because everybody like there was a it costs more than 25 or $20. Yeah, it's $25. And it's like that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll all live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
never pay more than $20 for an adventure game. That game was released a long time ago.
It's true.
Yeah, those
It's
the
true.
yeah like it was
Message received.
the message has been received, but like
Interjected.
my whole point here is that people aren't going to want like generally aren't trying to spend several hours on a game, especially if they're playing it on Steam or like even if they're playing it on like their console or whatever else. And you have like you can buy like you know 50 to 100 other games and they're all competing for your attention.
Mhm.
Like
You know what
I
we always say here at Quest, the less of an adventure game there is, the better.
yeah, that's right. But like I mean my point is that like adventure games now I think have kind of a peppier pace and less like and a friendlier design. And that isn't to say that a slow pace and a less in like a less friendly design is a bad thing for an adventure game, but I think those are the things that keep people away from a game if they're trying it for the first time. You wouldn't play Dark Souls first?
No, no. You'd start out with something simpler like Gauntlet and work your way up. I mean, shouldn't really, if we're being honest with ourselves, shouldn't probably people who've never played an adventure game before start with adventure and work their way
Yeah,
forward?
they need to play it chronologically. They start with not only like they should start with the earliest version of adventure before it was like iterated on and more
Yeah,
caves and
yeah. Like I want
puzzles were
punch
added in.
cards and things like that. Yeah, they need
You
to be
have to
shuffling punch cards.
find a PDP 10 and like go to like a university and get rent 2 hours of computer time.
That's right. That's the only way you're ever going to appreciate when you work your way around to Police Quest 3,
Mhm.
everything that had to happen in order for that game to exist.
Yeah. Yeah, people are just they're so thankless, and
Yeah,
they
no
look
sense
at
of history.
Police Quest 3 and they're like, "This game sucks. It's not fun. The plot makes no sense. There's a bunch of very tedious and unfun puzzles. The driving is dog shit. The ending requires you to have done something at the very start. The I already mentioned the nonsensical plot. They're all and the driving is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Mhm.
But they're saying that, but they don't have the full context.
Yeah.
They did not play adventure. They
Yeah,
did
have you
not
played Nord and Bert? If
they
not, I
have
don't know
not
if you can really.
played Nord and Bert.
Yeah, I don't know
They
if you
haven't
can
played
comment on Police Quest 3.
Plundered Hearts.
That's right.
They haven't played they
You say
haven't
ballyhoo, and they're like, bally what?
uh they they haven't played LucasArts' Labyrinth.
That's right.
They have to play all of them. All of them.
Have
You
you
have
played
to
Roberta Williams' Dark Crystal?
You haven't played High Res Adventures 1 through 5.
Yeah. Ulysses and the Golden Fleece, anybody?
You haven't played the Black Cauldron.
Yeah, you
Uh,
should.
mm, should you?
Well,
Should you
maybe
play
watch a walkthrough, like a let's play.
or watch the movie? Have a mm,
Mm,
uh,
maybe
uh,
read the books.
yeah, read the books.
I mean, I haven't read them.
No, I haven't read them either, but I'm
No,
they inspired a not particularly good movie and a
that's
not
right.
particularly good game, but maybe the
Hmm.
book is good. Uh,
Yes.
it's been known to happen. Jess, are there any provisos that you would think of, like, or are there like older, like, do you think there are older games that you would recommend?
I mean, I think if I was trying to think of like what I would throw at somebody if I had to give them an older game. Like if I
Yeah.
was going to say, it's like, I love these retro adventures. I think I have the perfect one for you to help you understand why I love this genre and I want you to love it too.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like the most obvious ones. Like I think there is a power to Secret of Monkey Island.
Okay.
Obviously. I mean, you could say, hey, this is like one of the absolute classics of the entire genre.
Hmm.
Play this and see what you think. Throw the special edition at them, even if it's crummy graphics or whatever. Give them the voices to make it a little bit friendlier to a modern audience and see where it goes. I would throw that one in there. But
Okay.
then I started thinking about some other, like two that came to mind, but I think I would rule out both of them. I mean, Day of the Tentacle, obviously, another
I
classic.
would not recommend
No,
Day of the
too
Tentacle
much,
as the
too hard.
first. It's way too much.
Too much. It's going.
It's
That's
a
exactly what I came
great
with.
game,
Absolutely. Some would say the
but
best LucasArts adventure game.
I don't know them.
No, I don't feel comfortable with that pick either. We're going to redo that bracket soon, folks.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
it's
We're going to get it
Labyrinth.
right this time.
Uh,
But no, I think it's too much. I think it's a little. I think that you have to appreciate adventure games at some level to see how like Day of the Tentacle is raising the bar and subverting expectations. I think it would just seem like very complicated and difficult to
it's
parse.
it's a pretty, like, the puzzles in it are good, but they're difficult. Like
They
they
are,
they
yeah.
they require
Hmm.
the time travel in Day of the Tentacle requires some lateral thinking, which I don't think
Hmm.
would lend itself particularly well to a person playing an adventure game for the very first time. Like, it has
Right.
wonderful presentation, it's very funny, but I think it would just be very frustrating.
I think it would be too. And I also thought, well, maybe Gabriel Knight 1 is something
No way.
that's, yeah, no, too fiddly, too, I hate to use like too Sierra y as like as a knock against it, but
How
I
about
mean,
the remake?
oh, I mean, it might be a little friendlier in terms of, you get the quality of life improvements, but it's still the same core game. I don't know. I think that it and Day of the Tentacle, I mean, they're difficult in different ways.
Yeah. You
Day of the Tentacle is difficult because it is, really sort of sophisticated puzzle design. Gabriel Knight's difficult because it's a little fiddly and,
you know what I would recommend, old game,
oh, yeah.
is Quest for Glory 1 VGA.
Mm. Is it because of the faces?
It is. I mean, the melty clay faces are a big part of it, but I think that, number one, it's not a particularly difficult game.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is that it works within a a, f- a framework that is very, like, straightforward, and I think if you're a player of games, you're familiar with, which is that it's
Yes.
like this RPG, and so, like, a lot of the stuff you're doing is like in uh is stuck to your stats. And
Yeah,
so a
I mean,
lot of that is, yeah,
if you've played Skyrim, you have a point of entry for how Quest for Glory 1 VGA works. I mean, it's
sure.
not that far. And I mean, and maybe the RPG element works as a nice Trojan horse.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think get someone who maybe knows that genre better and trick them into playing an adventure game. So I actually like that pick quite a lot.
That
And
that has been one of mine. That
okay.
I if I am to recommend any old, like, adventure game, adventure game from the 20th century. It would
Wow.
be Quest for Glory 1 VGA. Secret of Monkey Island is pretty good too, though. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's an undeniable charm to both of those that, especially if you have someone who's looking for a little bit of whimsy
mhm,
in their gaming experience, I think both of those have a pretty strong chance of grabbing their attention. Like, part of me thinks, Gabriel Nutt hits that slightly more mature angle, but again, I don't know. I feel like difficulty level is part of this thing that has to be cracked. Like, part of me thinks you throw a tough game at somebody and there's a good chance they bounce off of it if they haven't developed through years of playing poorly designed adventure games the right skill set to take
mhm.
these apart.
All right. Well, then we'll move on to new. So it's like I think you were talking earlier about like kind of Trojan horsing
Mm-hmm.
like or you said Trojan horsing with Quest for Glory 1, but also you were talking about how like is it like a straight point and click or is it a adventure game like a that isn't like a King's Quest 'em up. So
Yes.
I've got a couple of those here that I would recommend. One of these I would say is probably the most recommended uh of that. Maybe not this game in particular, but like this publisher. This feels like kind of a classic one, which is to say I would say Machinarium. You could say
Oh,
Samarust or you know, uh, 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 Botan, uh, Botankilla. Oh, geez,
yes.
I yeah had a, but yeah, like those games, you've played those, right?
I have not played any of those,
You
Ben.
haven't played any of those? You
Not a
should play
single
them. They're
one.
so cute.
So tell me about them.
Uh, they're these games. So the this developer uh Amantia I'm gonna mispronounce it. The developer that did Machinarium, they make these games that are these they like I haven't played their most recent ones, so maybe they've uh added some complexity as it goes, but they're games where they're kind of similar a little bit in some ways to like kind of goblins where it's like one screen to the next screen, or at least the
Mm-hmm.
earliest ones. And they are that like they kind of remind me of the games for kids that actually like we'll play on my stream sometimes, like when we finish up a game and we have a little free time. Like some of those storybook games for kids that they had in the early to mid 90s
Yeah,
where like you click on something and a noise happens
I love it.
or like a little action happens. And for this, for like Samarast or man, I'm probably mispronouncing all these, or like Machinarium or any of those, you're like kind of clicking and like solving little puzzles with that, and then so you solve a little puzzle with that and then you move on to the next one and you solve a little puzzle there. So I'll admit it's been a very long time since I've played Machinarium, so if I'm but like this has a couple advantages. One is it has a really obvious design. You know exactly what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Two is that they're really beautiful. They have this all of their games have this like gorgeous storybook art style that is really like it's just very appealing. All of their games. They're like in I think for some players they might not finish the game, but will they say at the end, I had a great time? Will they keep thinking about that? Like, and I think like Machinarium and all their games are kind of like that.
Okay, I like that pick a lot. I think
You should do one of those on your stream. If you've never played one,
yeah, I mean, I know
you
all the
should
titles and I've seen them.
try one out.
Yeah, no, I should. No, absolutely. I've seen them pop up forever. And like, sales and things like that and recommended titles. I've just never really clicked through to take a closer look. So no, I'll have to do that. Thank you, Ben, for the recommendation.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll
and
make me
it will
finally
be.
like adventure games
Yeah, I was gonna say this might
and
be
not
your
just
very first.
cynically play them for my stream. No,
Yeah,
this is no, that's good. Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about, these sound like they break away from maybe some of the more traditional structure of what an adventure game looks like. I was thinking kind of what in my head I was calling maybe neo-traditional adventure games, maybe that stick closely to maybe the classic pixel art aesthetic and more of the inventory-based puzzles and things
sure.
like that. I was thinking of a game like in one of our early episodes we talked about Locomotive
Right.
as a game that very much clearly is drawing on inspiration from old LucasArts adventures, but telling a little bit more of a modern story with some of the modern conveniences of
Got a hint
you know
line in it.
yeah,
It
hint
nudges
line
you
in it.
through.
Puzzles are a little bit
Yeah.
more reasonable. All those sorts of no deaths, no dead ends, all those
Mhm.
sorts of things. Um, Another series, and admittedly, I'm only at the beginning of this series, but I can't help but think that if you're looking for something that really feels like a newer take on these older games. Blackwell, I think is a powerful recommendation there. I think that you could easily maybe grab some attention with Blackwell, something that has a little bit more of a mature story with some humor woven into it and fairly traditional gameplay elements. And again, you've experienced a lot more of the Blackwell games than I have. But how do you think about Blackwell as a starting point?
I would say actually like if of like Dave Gilbert's games.
Hmm.
I would probably and like I would say Unavowed. Um
Ah,
because the thing with the Blackwell games is that uh as much as I love the first game and I think it's great, uh it's he's still kind of figuring out how to like make a commercial indie adventure game
yeah,
and
because he's
uh
got blazing a trail there at
yeah,
that time. Yeah.
and oh, for sure, for sure. And Unavowed, which was the game that he made after he completed the Blackwell games, is is a game that really like, kind of builds on all of like the design growth that you see across all of Blackwell and its own game. It's not part of a series.
Hmm.
And it also like it isn't an RPG, but it has like RPG elements in that it was inspired by BioWare style
Yeah.
uh like party composition. So it's like you have your one main character that you're always with, and then you enter like little episodes and you get to pick who you bring with you, and that could create different outcomes or different kind of puzzles. And but the game isn't, again, like as you said, it's not very difficult, like, and there's a little bit of replayability, or a fair amount, because
Hmm.
you can go and try it. You also have like origins in it, like, like a Dragon Age
Yeah.
or like Mass Effect. uh I don't know why I'm pretty high on games that bring RPG elements over, but I think that they just kind of provide like a nice little ease in.
Yeah, I do. I mean, again, if the goal is to get someone who presumably has been aware of the existence of these games, but never chosen to play one, I think tapping into some of those, other genres isn't a bad way to get there.
Mhm.
I wonder, we've talked a lot about difficulty curve here. I mean, how effective might some of the games that, have been called walking simulators be as an entry point to this genre, or do they break the mold too much? Like, could you see
Like
Gone
Firewalk
Home or Firewatch being
or
like a
Firewatch, yeah.
springboard to playing more adventure games, or are they so their own thing that
I
nobody's going to go from Firewatch to a more traditional adventure game?
I think that
And I love
they
Firewatch.
yeah, yeah, this
Yeah,
isn't putting those games
yeah,
down. I think that they're not an entree to it. Like they might be an entree to it in like it's like, well, do you like, kind of exploring a
hmm
world, and especially Gone Home is uh like you're just kind of piecing together some detective, like you're just looking through the house and like
yeah,
putting together stuff in your
yeah.
head. um uh and like so there's a little bit of that, but I don't know if I would quite
Yeah.
say that like it's like, oh, you liked Gone Home, check out Day of the Tentacle.
That's right. I mean, what if you just like took this person who's like, I'm curious about adventure games, and you just melted their fucking mind with immortality? You're just like, look at this.
Yeah.
This is where it's at, man.
So
Now, yeah.
my list has Her Story,
Yeah, I had that on mine as well. That
and
is, yeah.
I got someone into Her Story who
Okay, I
got
like this.
so into Her Story. My friend that I got into Her Story, she said to me, I like kept a journal and I was keeping a ton of notes. And
Oh,
like I was like writing down
mhm.
theories and like keeping track of words and doing that. And I was just like, damn, like,
Yeah.
like you played that
Mhm.
so hard. Uh
And if we've talked about Her Story on here before, but if anyone's not familiar, that's the Sam Barlow game where you are piecing together a bit of a mystery from found footage on a computer. It's a wonderful bit of FMV adventure.
and the way that you play it is that you search, there's this database that has all this video in it, and you can what, search only one word, is that right?
Oh, it's been so
Yeah,
long now.
yeah.
I'm blanking on
But
it.
you have like some limitations that will also only show you like the three top video.
hmm
So essentially you are trying to piece together a narrative, but you do not have the ability to make it linear, which
That's right.
is
Everything's out of order. You are just picking up clues from a breadcrumb here, and following it to the next bit, which is something that Immortality does in an even more mind bending way. Another Sam Barlow game that follows up on
I never played
her.
Telling Lies. That was Telling Lies. That was the
I need to
one
play
you did.
Telling Lies. I haven't played Telling
I
Lies
gotta,
either.
you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get Telling
But Her
Lies.
Story was one that was on my list too. I think Immortality might be too much for somebody. I mean, Immortality is
I think
definitely a
you
brain
can get
melter.
away. I think you can get away with um I think you can get away with immortality. You just
Yeah.
have to be someone that like you have to recommend it to somebody
Mhm.
that likes, you know,
Yeah.
spicy pepper games.
That's right. You're going to play Immortality, and then you're going to be like, "What's next?" And I'm going to hand you a physical copy of Gabriel Knight 2, and I'm going to say, "This is your next full motion video adventure. Enjoy." And then you're going to be a fan for life.
Yeah.
I get you to
Um
play Immortality, then it's like Gabriel Knight 2.
now
Mhm.
uh Jess, did you put any games that are in the Telltale style?
Yes.
So I think we have the same one. So which one did you put down?
Okay. I put Life is Strange.
That's right.
Yes. Okay. I have one other. I also have another. But let's talk Life is. Why is Life is Strange the right choice here?
I think Life is Strange is my favorite game in that style. I have not played another one, and I haven't played all the Life is Strange games, so maybe I'll find
And you
another.
haven't played all the episodes of Tales from the Borderlands. Just to recap that, so you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see. But like Life is Strange is I enjoy it more than most of the Telltale like narrative, like
I think
propulsive
I do
narrative
too.
ones, like Choose Your Own Adventure. And I think a big part of it is that like not only does it have a very engaging plot, which it is, as I would like as I've described it to my friends and maybe even on here, like essentially a CW TV show of
It's
a
very
game.
melodramaculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a phrase, melodramaculous, or did you just trip on your tongue?
No, I believe that's a Will Ferrell as George W. Bush
Very good.
phrase.
uh,
Melodramaculous.
I like it, I like it. But
It's used frequently in
it's
our
like
family.
this teen melodrama that like with supernatural elements that is a lot of fun. It has like a couple annoying little puzzle things in it,
Yeah.
but they're they're more kind of tedious than they're hard. They're just kind of annoying. But it like it was a game that I could not put down when I was playing it. Every time I finished an episode, it ended with such a perfect cliffhanger that I was like, I have to find out what happens next. I have to see what, like, I finished Life is Strange over the course of a weekend, like just barreling through it when I
Yeah.
bought it. And that's not like a regular thing for me as an adult. Like, I don't generally
Yeah.
have that type of like attention span or free time, and I was just like, I have to find out
Yeah.
what happens
And
next.
it's a decently long game when you're playing
Yeah.
it episode to episode like that. I mean, it's yeah, no, that one is one that was definitely on my list too. And I would agree. I mean, if Telltale kind of introduces this style of narrative adventure game, you know, of course they have their earlier games, but Walking Dead is really when they,
Hmm.
this style crystallizes for them. I think that Life is Strange takes that and arguably does it better than, yeah, again, pretty much any Telltale game. And then it has the advantage of it looks so good. It
That was the next thing I was gonna say.
great
Is
music. The
it
production value is through the roof.
a thing that I really like about it the most, and obviously the Telltales had this too, but the episodes all feel very directed. Like the camera moves around, and they do
Yes.
interesting things with lighting, and they're interested in where like the characters are all standing. Like
Mhm.
it's a very engaging piece of media, and they're not the first to do it, but
No.
it felt like they kind of had a breakthrough of how to really do it in
Right.
a way that looks so good and engaging.
Yeah. Whereas, like, as I understand it, in the Telltale game engine, like if a designer wrote, Clementine picks up a baseball bat, they had to like crunch for 7 months to figure out how to make a character pick up an item. So it sounds like I think they were fighting their engine constantly. And Life is Strange looks much more effortless than that. I was thinking, I was wondering, like, is there a Telltale game that right off the bat would be an easy recommendation? I mean, I think we both love the Sam and Max Telltale games, but I think they're going to be in maybe a little bit of that Day of the Tentacle territory if that's hitting somebody too hard.
I think the first season
Yeah,
is probably doable, but I don't. It's also very like
soda poppers are going to turn someone off forever from this genre.
it's true, and I also think that uh like the license appeal for it is like for people that are familiar with the
Yes,
adventure game, even
yeah,
though like you don't need any of that context,
mhm.
and it's made specifically to be inviting to people that haven't played it, but it still feels like who's this
Yeah.
for.
I wonder Wolf Among Us,
Never
maybe
played
to me,
those, so
yeah, Wolf Among Us has that sort of fairy tale fantasy vibe going on with it that I could see being appealing. It's a slightly more mature story than some of Telltale's fare. I can see that being one that might grab somebody. I mean, especially if they're already familiar with the source material, the fables, graphic novels, and things like that. Again, a way to Trojan horse that one in. But yeah, I think for that sort of Telltale style narrative adventure. Maybe it's ultimately a non-Telltale game in Life is Strange that maybe makes the most sense.
So here's one. This is also kind of outside of the dynamic, but we're moving closer. This has more puzzles. This has inventory. But it is not like a King's Quest em up, which is Phoenix Wright. Any of the Phoenix Wright games. Easy,
Oh.
easy, easy, easy recommend. Massive audiences for that. People love those games. Uh they have puzzles, they have, as I said, it has an inventory. It is I have like some design like complaints about them, but I think overall like they're just really really fun and full of personality games, and they're tricky. They have you thinking. Phoenix Wright, the if you're not familiar, and I think if you're listening you are, but like the trial lawyer games, they're just a lot of fun. Have you ever played those?
I've tinkered around a little bit with the first Ace Attorney
Mm.
just to kind of get a sense of what it was all about. I didn't finish all the cases, but it's always a series I tell myself I should go back to because I found it very charming. I mean, it's almost as good as that LA Law game, and I played it start to finish.
I I'm gonna wager that it's slightly better.
I don't know, Ben. Did you watch the LA Law
You
game?
know what? I only caught the beginning of it when you were still kind of skeptical.
It was pretty good. I mean, again, it's just a Capstone, makers of Wayne's World and Beverly Hillbillies. We had a whole episode about Capstone and how terrible they are. They made an LA Law game that was halfway okay. It wouldn't be how I would introduce someone to the adventure
Whoa, we're
genre.
halfway okay.
Whoa, LA Law. Yeah, I don't know. It's not great.
Yeah, well, but
They can't
neither is
be
LA
winners.
Law. You said it was just pretty good, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, pretty good for a capstone game is about the highest praise
Yeah,
you
that's
can
true.
receive.
All right. Well, is there another one that you would recommend? I have a couple more.
Hit me with a couple more years. I'm running low on my list.
Okay, so then I have also here. This is another game that is non-traditional, but it does have an inventory, kind of. Which is 80 Days by Inkle, which is one of my
Oh,
adventure. I love 80 Days.
I know
I
you do.
think 80 Days is such a great fun game. I think it's such a smart design. 80 Days, which is a adaptation of Around the World in 80 Days. Um it is a game where you are Passepartout, Fogg's butler, and the game is you arranging travel across the entire world, and trying to figure out how to get all the way back to London in 80 days. And it is enormous amounts of fun because there are all sorts of different routes. There are lots of different like little storylines that you can get yourself caught up in. There's um like there are a lot of like just straightforward puzzles, including like there's one route where you end up in a Agatha Christie mystery, and
Mhm,
it ends with you have to like correctly deduce who who killed the pilot of this Zeppelin or something, I forget. um but it is such an entertaining game that has a very choose your own adventure flair, this interactive fiction flair that Inkle brings to their games. Uh, and it's just remarkably well written. It is so well written. The like it is just a pleasure to play it, to just read it. It's very clear. A lot of thought went into the words, and I I would without any hesitation recommend it to someone because it like for their first adventure game experience because it has a forward propulsion. You're always going to be going to the next location. And you could still like lose, you can arrive, after 80 days, but you just keep going and you could restart and try again. And the game wants you to experiment.
Hmm.
And so I think like if you're playing an adventure game for the first time, it's such a like it has difficulty to it. You can dig deep into it. There is like stuff hidden away in it, but at the same time, you can also play it and like just enjoy it as a like a piece of reading and just kind of pick places and be like, I think that would be good. You can enjoy it on either level.
I'm shocked to learn that I own this on Steam already.
You
So
that's probably a humble bundle like,
yes,
15
so
years ago.
I guess I'll buy. I guess I'll play it. You've convinced me.
Yeah, it's a great cell phone game. Like that's
Ooh.
where I played it first. And then the last one I have down, and this is the most King's Quest 'em up of the ones that I had, but and maybe you know what, this one might be a little too like this would require someone to want something a little more weird, but if you want something weird,
If you're a weirdo.
I would say Dropsy by Jay
Mm.
Tholen, the game that he made before Hypnospace Outlaw. It is a straightforward third person point and click adventure, like with an inventory, and at certain points you control like different characters. But number one, there is absolutely no readable text in the game. Everyone speaks in pictograms, and
Mhm.
it's also not particularly difficult. It's just a very straightforward and like friendly game. Like I think it would be fun to have a kid try to play it. And you
Oh.
know, like I think the strangeness of it and then the pictograms and stuff like that, I think it would work well playing it with a kid, or the kid would be terrified.
I'll take either one.
Or it
Sounds
might
like
be
fun to me
something that
either
scares the
way.
shit out of a child. Either one. Jess, did I tell you that I am going to have several paintings of clowns in my home soon?
No.
Some point.
Tell
My
me more about this.
my grandfather was a bit of a raconteur. He
Mhm.
worked all sorts of like kind of like various jobs around the area that he lived, but he was like he had all sorts of like hobbies, like artistic hobbies, including he loved to paint. And there's in the house I grew up, there were all sorts of grandpa's paintings all over the house. And one of the things he loved painting, because he lived in and around Bridgeport, Connecticut, where the Barnum and Bailey circus is from, like where like I think P.T. Barnum is from. He loved painting clowns. And so when I grew up in the house that I grew up in, there was when you walked in through the hallway, like the front hallway of the house, there was I think 4 or 5 small clown portraits that my grandfather painted. And they were like very different clowns. There was like a sad clown, there was like a happy clown,
Yeah.
and there was like this like it's very different clown personalities. And I've always loved these. Everyone else has always had interesting feelings about them.
Uh-huh.
And
Weird.
of my siblings, I'm the one that has claimed I'm going to get the clown paintings. So at some point, when I was just speaking with my mom, she said, "Yeah, yeah, we'll send you the clown paintings at some point soon." So at some point, I'm going to have a bunch of historic, family heirloom, terrifying clown paintings that I'm going to put in my guest room.
Ben, first of all, let me say I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be great. You know, all I got when my grandfather passed away was a big crate of commemorative Elvis comeback whiskey bottles where it was shaped like Elvis and you could screw the head off and pour the whiskey out of it. And that was pretty great too, but you don't need like 30 of them, is the problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have 4 or 5 clown paintings that I put in the room where if I'm hosting someone, where they'll sleep.
Oh,
They'll be
Ben.
protected by clown magic.
Clown magic.
But anyway, Dropsy's great. Do you have any other games? Any other thoughts before
Yeah, I
we
just think
close the book?
I close the book. No, I think that our
Message received.
listeners should message received. I think our listeners should tell us if they've had any luck ever introducing an adventure game to a neophyte, or if they think there are any games out there that we didn't talk about that are just the perfect entry point to this genre we all know and love. If you want to tell us about that, I mean, there are a few ways to do it. You could send us an email at questquestpodcast@gmail.com. Or Ben,
You could
where can
leave
they leave a comment?
leave a comment on our Spotify, or you could drop into our Discord, which perhaps will be in the links with this episode. Maybe
Or maybe not.
we'll see. Anything could happen. There's a
Anything could
whole
happen.
world of possibility. Uh,
Endless possibilities.
oh yeah, yeah. All right. Well,
Marinara,
well,
meat sauce,
uh,
Alfredo,
keep going.
a fourth one.
Great. Uh, So, and be sure to give us a 5-star review that helps people find this podcast and listen to it and let us know what a good first time player adventure game is. Yeah, probably Norco or like those text forward ones. Those also pretty good.
I
Um,
wondered about Norco. Is Norco a good pick?
yeah, yeah.
Norco's a good pick.
I was just I knocked Norco off my list because I was like, we have a whole episode that was Norco, so I was like, we don't need to do that one again.
Gang,
Uh,
go play Norco.
Yeah, Norco's great. But 5-star review, blah blah blah, emails, you got that. And join us next week where we're going to have a special episode where we discuss our favorite shapes of craft macaroni and cheese. Like, remember the Super Mario ones? Like you
I
have
like elbow.
the elbow. Give me a break.